Very good morning. We are starting an hour late today because of the daylight saving. We hope you got an extra hour of sleep, which is great. And we will be losing time from the end of the day for the hour we acquired. Now my eyes are gently closed and you may do so if you like. And my shoulders, spine, neck are at ease. And naturally my attention goes to my breathing, in-breath and the out-breath. Notice what takes your attention now. Those are present conditions that are arising that can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So we can try to pay attention to the underlying feelings of anything that arises. Calming bodily sensation that can be very pleasant. Anxious thoughts can be unpleasant. Gentle closing eyes, neutral. Positioning of hands, neutral. These are the three kinds of feelings that we need to penetrate to acquire wisdom. There is a danger with some pleasant feelings that are rooted in lust, attachment, greed, craving, wanting, I, me, my making. Those are generally provoked by sensual desire or leaning toward sensual desire. Right now in this meditation, it's hard to find that kind of thought, and that's excellent. So I mentioned thoughts, and they are springing from the thoughts, the mental sphere, not from outside. The outside remains as is, and we conceptualize what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and cognize. With the mind's eye, when the seen, when the heard, when the seen is just the seen, the heard is just the heard, when the felt is just the felt, cognized is just cognized. There is no you before, there is no you after, there is no you between, there is no you by that. Then there is liberating insight with those pleasant feelings. The underlying tendency to attachment, wanting, lust toward pleasant feelings vanish. And this is a cultivation, mental cultivation, to see the true nature of cravings, fears, worrisomeness. So fear and worrisomeness can be unpleasant feelings. We refuse those unpleasant feelings and therefore there is subtle aversion, resenting, not wanting, pushing things away, shaking, and that lies, there is underlying tendency or sleeping tendency toward dislike, not wanting, aversion, anger. We may have to bring it down, lower it. To see the liberating insight that lust and hatred, attachment and anger, these are makers of the I, me, myself. Instead, choosing loving kindness for anger and choosing letting go, renunciation, not getting attached. In a conceptual level is the remedy for the attachments. Letting go of suffering and attachment to suffering comes from within that experience. Now gently look at your hands touching each other if they are, or bodily contact with the floor, and that it can be a neutral feeling, and there is a sleeping tendency, underlying tendency in these neutral feelings, and that is the last thing that we may not know toward these feelings. The underlying tendency to ignorance, not knowing the true nature of the neutral feelings arising, dependently arising, and the cessation of them, and the assumption that they are permanent, mine, they are myself. Instead, noticing their conditional arising, and for new arisings, the old ones disappear and we never experience them again. And with that wisdom you cultivate letting go of ignorance toward underlying tendency toward neutral feelings. Those are neither painful nor pleasant. To make it easier, let us choose for a brief cultivation of Asubha meditation. Asubha is focusing on the loathsome nature of the body that we get attached to. You can begin from the wax of the ear, where there is an odor, bodily odor, that makes you refuse that experience. You can also start from the armpits when you are sweating and the smell can be unbearable. And there too, there is no attachment arising. And you can also begin from the smell of the mouth. That the mouth, when not washed properly, not brushed, the bodily smell overcomes other smells. And smell of the nose, an overall smell of uncleaned physical body. With that, any attachment to, mental attachment to a body is no longer present in you. Now recollect the mind of the Buddha, how he penetrated the wisdom, fighting against the mental demons of dancers of lust, warriors of hate, and magicians of delusion. He said visual objects are like, especially the things that we get attached to, they are like the foam that is made in a rapid river. That they don't have an essence. There is no core. They are just foam, like shaving foam. That is the nature of these visual objects, the bodies that you get attached to. Because it's not the body, it is the mental image of it that we get attached to. And we manifested that mental image due to ignorance, underlying tendency to lust, and disliking other visual objects. The more attached you are to outside bodies, more suffering is manifested. the awakened mind of the Buddha saw this mental phenomena and deconstructed it and built a different mindset full of equanimity, loving kindness, compassion, and joy. He let in the Dhamma Piti, joy of Dhamma. And those reflections help support us see the wisdom of the Buddha. The Buddha saw that feelings that we are meditating on today are like bubbles coming up from below, water bubbles, bubbula. They are just coming and going away. There is no permanent lasting essence in a bubble. It's just air bubbles. Feelings are these air bubbles. When they are gone, you cannot trace them again. In the same way with forms, when they are gone, they constantly take a different shape. So the nature of forms and bubbles are that they come and go. They are never the same, continuously changing. See an aggregate of bubbles, aggregate of feelings. This is a skandha, an aggregate. See an aggregate of forms, skandha, visual objects that are collected in your mind, named, owned, dearly held. Essence free. These two aggregates that you've worked on, you can see that there is no essence in them. And now there is another aggregate, perceptions aggregate. This is like a mirage. You are a deer running for water in a desert. You have run after many perceptions, thinking that there is water, there is something to take from in those things that you perceive. Perceiving fear when there is none, when you deconstruct it. Perceiving images, perceiving lust out of an image, statue, visuals that we see in a computer, phone screen. What you have done is perceiving something that is not presently happening. Your mind created that perception, and you went along with it for a small satisfaction. All that there was just a mirage, something that you thought is there, but it vanished when you went closer to it. There was no evergreen, everlasting, permanent entity in those things that you perceived to be true. Like a child getting excited, going to the ocean, he imagines a world where he could swim, jump, go under the water, come out from some place. And the moment he sees the ocean and big waves, there is fear he perceives. With fear he cannot see what he saw before. Playfulness disappears. He no longer wants to jump into the ocean. So these perceptions are mirages. They appear and disappear. To remain unshaken, we see the true nature of every perception. So perception aggregates has no true essence. It's an important part, integral part in our being. Like a car, we are made of visual images. Psychologically, we are made of feelings. There are essenceless bubbles. And psychologically, we are made of perceptions. They are the mirage. There is no true essence. They are never the same continuous influx, a vortex. Once gone, no trace to be found. Light, the flame, when gone, no trace to be found. Only depending on conditions they arise and they vanish. Now look at volitional formations. It's like an onion. You peel and peel volitional formations. You see the conditional arising of it. You don't see an essence inside. Also, if you peel certain trees like a banana tree and its trunk, you take one skin, one layer, another layer, another layer, another layer. There is no essence. I think a lotus stem also has similar nature. When you cut off, there is no essence. It's just made of, basically just made of air inside. There is no stem that is hard inside. So volitional formations, due to feelings, due to visuals, due to things you perceived, you saw volitional formations, dreams that you built, things you wanted, how much anger you built toward somebody because you perceived an angry person. You perceived someone here who is subjected to this anger. These are all volitional formations, constructs like a house that is being built that wasn't there. But in this mental house, they are constantly changing. Constantly vanishing. Volitional formations have no essence, like a banana trunk, like an onion. Look for an essence in that fight you had with somebody. Thoughts, something done by someone. You look for an essence. There is none. There is no outside world. There is this inside world that did this and that. Reflecting on that, there is nothing you cannot let go of. There is no true self, permanent, lasting. You see every construct, mental construct, has no true lasting self. Man never steps into the same river twice. River changes, the man changes. To deconstruct, you can see mind and thoughts and linking consciousness. Now that consciousness disappeared. Now you are conscious on what I am saying. So those consciousnesses from the mind base, visual consciousness, sound consciousness, smell consciousness, taste consciousness, touch consciousness, mind consciousness, all of that appeared, they have gone now, never coming back again. Mind is a forerunner. Mind made are they. Mind is the greatest. And last, you notice these consciousnesses. They are like a magic, not a true thing, an illusion. Illusion born of a skeleton, assuming things and imagining a world. Based on a skeleton, a magician makes a tiger, and now the tiger eats the magician, devours the magician. This unfortunate conditioning is what happens in our mental sphere. The mind's magician makes a vortex, a flame called lust, hatred, and delusion. The maker here is not knowing that there is no self that is permanent. It was these five aggregates, including the consciousnesses, they aggregate contributed us to perceive an I, perceive a me, perceive myself. This is the wisdom the Buddha showed us. He saw he was awakened into this true nature and chose to live according to the middle path, abandoning extremes. And in the middle path, you come to an end of suffering. You see no sufferer. You see lust, hatred, and delusion have no true grounds. You see visual forms, feelings, perceptions, volitional formations, and consciousness. They have no true essence. There's emptiness in every encounter. If you pause and pay attention closely. and you be content here. You let things go when they start to bother you. You cultivate the default resting state of the mind. Dwelling in the emptiness whenever possible. With death, we part ways from this universe. When that happens, if you have boiling anger, so much unfulfilled desire, and so much delusion, there is no guarantee an escape from a lower realm where there can be suffering, endless suffering for eons. And with this mindset that we cultivated today in this meditation, you are able to overcome those challenges when you are alive, able-bodied, and has time in your hourglass. Each moment becomes a moment of reflection and escape from those dangers. And we do not have to wait until a future Buddha who will appear in eons to see the truth and escape from the dangers of the cycle of suffering. You break the wheel and be free and dwell in harmonious thoughts, feelings, sensations, or see the true nature of the arisings and their cessations, whether it is fear, fame, loss, all the vicissitudes of life. Fame, loss, gain, it does not matter. You remain unshaken, and that is the highest blessing. With that thought in mind, may I make a wish, may your wisdom remain fully showing you the freedom from the lenses that you see the world through. May there be liberating insight, making a lasting impact in your overall being. May you be awakened from the sleep of defilements and ignorance. Come to the truth, experience the truth, and gain true knowledge. The more you see the true knowledge, more liberated you will be, ultimately becoming an arahant who is noble and pure. who has cultivated unshakable deliverance of mind. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.